afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming to the presentation. Had a bit of a look at structures and how we can best move forward as a team by executing these really well. Did a bit of analysis from the game on the weekend, and I thought I'd put together this presentation just to give you guys a visual understanding of game day structures and how we can best execute those as a team. I'd like to provide you guys with a visual understanding of how you should be setting up the defensive and attacking structures on a game day, and when to best do these so that we can work together more as a unit and really make it hard for our opposition to move the footy against us, both with attacking and defensive structures. So having purpose on the football field is extremely important. So knowing where you need to be at a certain time of the game is really important. So moving forward, I really want us to look at executing these well. I'm sure there's been times on the footy field that you have felt a little bit lost, or you've been out of position, or someone's, a teammate's yelling at you to get to a certain position, or that you're in the wrong position, and it can definitely throw you off your game. So having this knowledge and being able to execute this on game day to the best of your ability is extremely important. So by the end of this session, you'll have a firm understanding of our structures and how we can best move forward as a team, playing your role and playing your position to the best of your ability. It's extremely important that when we're out in the footy field, that you guys are engaging. So what I mean by that is that you're switched on to what you're doing, you're not zoning out, which is what happens quite a lot with our young athletes. They find it hard to stay mentally engaged for the whole time that they're out in the oval. So this is really important moving forward to make sure we're engaging and executing the best of our ability. Please follow on with the sheets of paper on your desk. These give you a bit of a visual understanding of our structures. So we'll move straight into the first one. So our first one is the defensive press. So as you can see here, this is when we've taken a mark inside forward 50 and we're looking to set up our press, our 18-man press inside forward 50. So basically, as you can see, there is a little red circle there. That's where we want to force our opposition into kicking. So when they kick into that pocket, we've actually got them exactly where we want them, boys. So once they're in that pocket, we press up and we force the kick down the line. So we want them to kick straight down the line on the left-hand side and turn the footy over. Then we can attack back going the other way. So a couple of key points to this defensive press. It's important that we get our work done early. So what I mean by that is when we take a mark inside 50, we're setting up straight away. We're moving into our positions. As you can see, your names are on the positions there. We're moving into our positions. We're getting ourselves set just in case we miss the goal and kick it behind. We're all set up, ready to go. So we'll role play this at training a little bit more as well, and hopefully we can get out and execute it the best of our ability. Just for now, I will just run through a little video, and it gives you a bit of a more visual understanding. These defensive presses and zones are used in the AFL regularly, and they're a key part of what AFL clubs do moving forward to try and trap the ball in their forward half. So just bear with me, and I'll just pull up this video quickly. Watch this, goes for about 3 minutes.
Our AFL Explained series. In this playlist, we'll break down key facets of the game, helping you transition from a casual footy fan to the resident expert of your friends or office. In this episode, we break down what zone defense is. A zone refers to each player protecting a zone or section of the field, rather than playing on a direct opponent. This is executed by a series of grids formed by the defensive team. In addition, players will put their hands in the air and move subtly on the spot to give the appearance they are covering more space than they actually are. The zone is most notably formed up to or behind the squad, a stopping the play, giving the team time to set up and lock the ball in their forward half. In theory, a successful zone should both demand a high level of competency in decision making and execution by the ball carrier, and turn a defensive situation into an attacking opportunity by creating a turnover. To combat a zone, you will switch the play with a sideways or backwards kick. This is in an attempt to shift the zone out of position, creating pockets of space for teammates to lead up into. In response, the zone must move as a unit, holding their shape as they shift sideways. If even one player is out of position, it is enough opportunity for an attacking side to move the ball forwards. But what happens if the offensive team plays on? In this case, it is the closest defender's role to run towards the ball carrier and apply pressure. In the zone, each player files forwards, filling the gaps in front of them. Even one or two handballs could be enough to break through a zone and release a kick to a player further afield. When switching doesn't shift the zone, and it's too risky to play on, teams will elect to kick it down the line, conceding there is a high chance they will lose the ball. They keep the play closer to the boundary. The boundary is seen as a safer option as it increases the likelihood of a throw-in. If the ball is turned over, having the boundary nearby limits the number of directions the opposition can move the ball, compared to the middle of the ground. Zones are now a key part of every AFL team's defensive setup, and while each team forms their zone slightly differently, they all build off this basic structure. So next time it seems that a team is simply walking through your club's defence, a poor zone, or a well-executed switching or running game plan could be some of the key reasons why. If you'd like an area of AFL explained, please leave your request in the comments.
Alright, moving on to the next structure. So if you have any questions about that at the end, just feel free to ask. Next structure we're going to look at is our forward 50 stoppage or our defensive rectangle. So as you can see here, the big red circle looks like a football. That's where the centre half forward stands for the ruck contest. You have your midfield group, which is your pink ones, around that ruckman area, and then you have your forwards, which is your second circle around the outside. It's important that this defensive rectangle is set up in place. So if you've got your 6 defensive players, and you've got your ruckman sitting out behind, and then your wingman and wingman, each side wingman. So we use this specifically when we are going inside 50 and there's a stoppage or a boundary throwing. So basically what we want to try and do is keep the ball trapped in our front half. By setting up this rectangle behind the football, it allows us to get repeat entries. What we're trying to do here is either one of 3 options. We're trying to force a stoppage, which we've done. We're trying to crumb a goal, or we're trying to force the opposition, if they're good enough to win the footy, to kick it long back down the line to our rectangle, where we're all set up behind the footy. We can intercept mark, or we can cause a spoil, make it a 50-50 situation, win the footy back, and then look to go back inside forward 50. So once again, it's about playing your role in the team, setting up in the team structures, and making sure this is done proactively. So what we'd like to see here happening more is a bit more proactive movement. So as soon as we look like we're kicking the ball inside forward 50, that our backs are already moving up and trying to look to get set into play. So basically what that means is that if we get up quick enough, we can trap the ball in our front half and not let it out. If we're very reactive on that movement, then what that allows is a pocket of space for opposition to move the ball back through. And if we're moving forward at that time and we're not completely set, it's easy for them to kick over the top of that rectangle and get out the back of us. So it's extremely important to make sure that we're proactive here on our setups and that we're moving into position early. Next structure is based around, like the forward 50 structure, we have a defensive 50 structure as well. This is basically just a flip side, but with a different pattern for the forward setup. So as you can see, the defenders are the blue triangles and the midfielders and wingmen are the purple. So again, we're setting up with your midfield being the most attacking players underneath the ruckman once we force the stoppage or boundary throw in. And then we have our defensive players, which are the blue triangles setting up in the second circle around, and we're protecting the corridor side. So we're protecting straight up the middle of the ground. because what we don't want to allow here is opposition to burst through that middle part of the ground and kick a goal on us. So the key here is when it goes into the defensive half and we look like we're going to force a stoppage or a boundary throw in, the forwards are moving up in what I call a hexagon shape. One of the wingmen are also a part of that hexagon shape, so you can see the 6 orange forwards in the orange triangles and the 1 wingman, and we set up around the centre half forward. Now basically, if you're looking at all the little black lines, they're just running patterns and leading patterns. So basically what we want to try to do is get the ball out the back and flick it around the back with all the blue triangles and get it out on the other side of the ground, the open side of the ground, so we can move the footy a lot quicker. If we are under pressure in there and we have to dump kick or kick the ball long down the line, we have our hexes set up and we've got numbers at that contest that we can then work our way forward. So what I've designed here with this structure is spacing behind the forward, so we can lead back and then come back up at the ball carrier, or we can lead across the ground in the corridor and B options. So it's about having that purpose when we're moving out of the defensive half and not just junk kicking it back to the opposition and then they getting repeat 450 entries in on us and scoring. So once again, proactive movement is important, playing your role in the team, understanding where you need to be at all times throughout the game. So as we move into next structure, which is a defensive kicking. So basically what we're looking at here is our setup when opposition have kicked the point and how we can move the football from the defensive 50 to the attacking 50. So what we look here is what the blue triangles are your defenders, and your purple triangles are your midfield, your orange triangles are your forwards. So what we're trying to do with this setup here is set up defensive players wide and open up the corridor. As you can see, the 2 white lines that run in the middle, we want to try and get the ball where those black arrows are going to and try and get the ball into those hot spots 45 so we can create some run from the back half. So by having our defensive players sitting wide, if there's no options through the middle of the ground, so if opposition are pressing against us on the defence, we've got our wide options. If not, all the midfielders gather in the middle. You've got your 2 wingmen that sit wide for your release kick. Blocks are put on to allow our midfielders to go into those holes. As you can see, the forwards are set up in like 2 mini triangles. So basically, everyone has a role to play here. Your centre half forward, which is your big guy in the middle here, he leads up the footy, and these 2 orange guys are crummers. So it gives us options coming out of defence, and the same with the full forward. Can lead up, and the other orange forward pockets come around and are crumbing for the football. So this allows us to have a bit of purpose, excuse me, and move the footy from the defensive half to the forward half. Excuse me. Next slide is on our midfield tap zones and how we want to position ourselves for centre bounces. So as you can see, we have 4 hit zones. So these are all based on the clock face. So hit zone 1 essentially being 11 o'clock. Hit zone 2, you're looking at probably 1 or 2 o'clock. And then hit zone 3, you're looking at between 5 and 6 o'clock, and 6 and 7 o'clock. And then hit zone 4, we're looking at just moving the ball directly forward into the space, allowing our midfielders to run onto it. Once again, it's all about positioning, it's all about communication with your ruckman, where do you want the ruckman to hit the ball, and it's all designed around us being able to effectively and cleanly move the ball out of a centre bounce situation and get the ball into our forwards as quickly as possible and as cleanly as possible. So as you can see, 4 hit zones, things to work on for our midfield group to make sure that we're communicating and positioning ourselves well, positioning ourselves against our opponents as well, and how to protect space and open up space in those centre bounce clearances. So yeah, moving forward, we will look to work on a lot of these structures, and hopefully we can put things in place, put measures in place to help us effectively set up, proactively set up, and move the footy a lot cleaner. So that's the end of the structured presentation, guys. I've provided you guys with a visual understanding on different structures, the different setups we're going to be using on game day. And then moving forward, we'll be role-playing these structures on a regular basis to make sure we're ready to rock and roll on Saturday. I've extremely enjoyed sharing these visual diagrams with you guys, because as I know, we all learn differently, and you know, having a visual representation of what we want to do out in the footy field is extremely important. And you know, it might cater for someone's learning needs more than others. So it's all well and good for me to bang on and tell you guys we've got to do this, we've got to do this, but having visuals that are important so you can actually see where you need to be. I'm just going to pass out some evaluation forms to you guys, so please provide me some feedback on this presentation, like anything else that you want to know, and we can address that maybe at a later date. Moving forward, I'll be conducting another presentation. This will be a little bit more on running patterns and ball movement patterns. So thanks heaps for today, guys, and just give me some feedback on how it went.